Welcome to Talking Giants, presented by SeatGeek. I'm your host, Bobby Skinner. No Justin today. He couldn't make out. He's not on the show today. Doing an interview with Ryan Novozinsky of NJ.com. First time on the show, so go make sure to show him support. Not the longest interview because it's kind of in that middle period between free agency and the draft, getting ready up for draft month. So we're gonna do an interview with him. So appreciate you, all the listeners. I want to say that, we don't never know what tomorrow's going to hold. Appreciate all the listeners, and I'm excited for the future. I'm excited for this interview. I'm also excited about SeatGeek. The MLB season is just around the corner. Basketball and hockey seasons are heating up, and artists like Morgan Wallen and Kendrick Lamar and The Weeknd are on tour. I just got tickets from my friend who had got them on SeatGeek, hooked me up, Dominic, Sirius XM, for the NASCAR race on Sunday. And with our partners at SeatGeek, you can now get 10% off any tickets with code GIANTS2025. That's a great new promo code. With over 28 million downloads, SeatGeek is the #1 rated ticketing app. There are more than 70,000 events listed on SeatGeek, including concerts, sports, festivals, and more. Right now, you can get tickets to baseball games, NBA, and NHL, not to mention tons of concerts and other events. Each ticket is rated on a scale of 1 to 10. So you are knowing, if you're getting a good deal. Just look for the green dots. Green means good, red means bad. I was actually trying to convince my brother and his wife to come to the race with us this weekend. I was like, check out these tickets on SeatGeek. Check out these. And they were cheap, but they had plans, which is like kind of crazy. Kind of disrespectful to SeatGeek, but it is what it is. But yeah, I went to the race on Sunday. Great time. And I saw my first normal winner. So thank you, SeatGeek, for that. And we came through for you guys. You can use code GIANTS2025 for 10% off your next set of tickets at SeatGeek. That's 10% off any tickets with promo code GIANTS2025. You'll be glad you did. And here's Ryan Novozinsky of NJ.com. I will now welcome on to the show Ryan Novozinsky of NJ.com. Ryan, first time on the show. We've talked before, but first time face to face. Is it everything you dreamed and believed in?
I can't believe I'm not in a van right now. That's the only thing that's missing right now. No, happy to be on. I was gonna say I was gonna lead with this is a really interesting Patreon member benefit that you join the Patreon and then you get to go on the show in a couple months later. So I'm honored, man. I'm honored.
Appreciate. Yeah, I forgot you're. My bad. I forgot that you're a Patreon. Patreon is very valuable to us. So yeah, obviously it's a very weird time for the New York Giants right now, where quarterback is still in need. They signed Jameis Winston. There's rumors of them wanting another vet quarterback. They're waiting on Aaron Rodgers. Who will they take in the draft for pick 3 later on? I mean, what do you make of all of this, and what do you like forecast for the next? I won't even say the draft. What do you like forecast in this Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, Joe Flacco watch?
For the longest time, I was in the okay, they're going to take Shador camp, right? And then probably around the combine is when something started to reek a little bit, right? It was the Matt Stafford interest. Obviously, it was the every quarterback report this offseason. They've latched themselves to every name. Um, that does not really sound like a team to me that is bullish about this class, other than Cam Ward, I believe. Again, the Stafford trade, the contract they were going to offer him, that lent credence to it. Ditto for the Jameis signing the other day, and then the subsequent Russ interest afterwards. And then Ryan Dunleavy, New York Post, reports today that they might be interested in potentially punting on quarterback at number 3 and signing a vet quarterback to pair with Jameis and the rookie that they draft later on. And then again, back what I heard at the combine, I heard that from a few people in that building that they were potentially interested in what, or I guess enamored by the idea of what Travis Hunter could do for the team. And so as a funny side note, they actually mentioned his offensive abilities. They were really extra adamant about that, and I think they view him as a corner primarily, but they were almost, I guess, to use the word again, enamored by the idea of what he could do on offense as well. Again, all before Debo, all before Slayton, but it just got me thinking. It got the wheels turning a little bit that they might not take a quarterback at number 3, and that's kind of where I am right now. I'm not to say that I'm officially, I guess, going to stamp it in. That's what they're going to do, but I'm starting to lean that way. And it's because of what we mentioned, man. And I know you guys have talked about it before. this does not seem like a team that wants to draft a quarterback. This does not seem like a team. Joe Shane, for
Or
again, a lot.
specifically a QB that'll be available, not basically anyone not named Cam Ward.
Exactly, exactly. And I think that's where Russ comes in would come into play. I mean, if a few dominoes fall, if the Titans take Ward, if Cleveland takes Sanders, and the Giants, I guess, enter the season with Russ, Winston, and a Jackson Dart or a Milrow or Tyler Shuck as kind of the rookie wild card there. I would even start to maybe believe that Joe Shane, who I've been very hard on, is maybe thinking about what's kind of best for the team, and not just his job. And that takes a lot for me to say, because I thought that for sure he would kind of throw a Hail Mary, like he said he wouldn't do, to save his job. But I mean, if he goes in and he kind of evaluates it as, all right, I just don't think these quarterbacks are it. Maybe, we talk about what Joe Shane's quarterback plan was to John Mara. I mean, heck, maybe it's look, John, I know you're impatient right now, but the quarterback options this offseason just kind of suck, quite frankly, unless we can get Stafford. So let us build a solid team. Let us have some success against this monster of a schedule we have next year. And then this 2026 quarterback, he'll enter the league in a much better situation. Now, again, the optics of that are bad, I think, especially if he's asking Mara for another year, if that's his grand plan. I think Mara might have canned him on the spot. But these are the kind of questions we have to ask when Mara brings back two guys that were on the hot seat, right?
There's so many dynamics when it comes to the court because one, I people don't like to hear this because there's a lot of that take the swing is getting the franchise quarterback takes right place, right time. If the Giants had won 3 games last season, they have they have a quarterback that they would have drafted, but instead, they won 6 games and ended up with the sixth pick. And then this year they win 3 games and now they have the third pick in a quarterback class where they're not there. So that's where it's like you can force it, but again, that is that the right thing? And I know everyone will have different opinions on Shador Sanders and everything goes, but what they did do by signing Jameis Winston, in my opinion, is let us know that we will find out if they play in the draft one high by time before the draft kicks off because obviously Jameis Winston is not brought in to be a 17-game starter. Jameis Winston is either a backup to a different veteran quarterback or he's a bridge to a rookie QB. And if we get another veteran quarterback in here, a la Russ Wilson, it's just hard to sell me on that. Well, they just really believe in they want to bring in Russ, Jameis, and drafts a quarterback with the third pick. It's just hard to sell me on that. And people will say that, oh, they wanted to pair a quarterback with Matthew Stafford. I don't believe that. I don't believe that you trade away draft assets and pay over $100 million guaranteed for 2 years of Matthew Stafford to train another quarterback. I just don't believe that.
No, exactly. And kind of my I guess you should say baptism by fire on the Giants because I didn't even have a training camp was it was like week 3. They were obviously 0-2. It was entering week 3. And my assignment was, oh man, the Giants are probably going to need a quarterback this summer or this offseason. It's probably the worst time ever for them to need a new starting quarterback, right? So in week 3, I wrote that. So I've been thinking about this for quite a long time. And that's kind of where I'm back to at this point where it's like, okay, they strike out on Stafford. That was supposed to be that could have maybe raised their ceiling, I think, to even against this schedule, maybe 7-8 wins or something like that. These other options aren't that exciting, but I mean, heck, if Shane, who's again incredibly desperate right now, if even he's looking at it as all right, like maybe even 36-year-old Russell Wilson would be better than Shador Sanders or whoever else. If we can't land Cam Ward, then that kind of goes to show you just what this class is right now.
Yeah, and it's interesting to see that they've kind of kept on striking because I think there's different levels to all the veteran quarterbacks. You have the Matthew Stafford, who is still a great quarterback. You're betting on winning games with him. And then I think you get Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilson are the next tier of vets who you can bring in to be the 17-game starter if there's not a quarterback you want at 3, or guys that you also bring in the rookie quarterback with. And then once you get past those two guys, I feel like you're just kind of in like and must bring in a starter or a rookie quarterback. So I think we'll get interested. It feels like we're still on Aaron Rodgers' watch, even though it feels like we've all moved off of that. Maybe everyone except for the Giants themselves. And a story that probably doesn't have much leak and info out there. Is there anything that you've heard specifically to Rodgers?
So the only thing that I can give you, I guess, from the Giants end on Rodgers, is that the interest obviously crept up incredibly fast, right? I remember so when I flew out to the combine, so it was the Monday, I guess, before the combine. I kind of chopped it up with this, I guess we'll call him a league source, who couldn't get through the sentence, Giants quarterback Aaron Rodgers without chuckling, right? Um, then by Friday, you see the Stafford deal, and then, or yeah, I guess this was Friday. By Friday, you see the Stafford deal, and then the subsequent Adam Schefter tweet where it's like dot dot dot, and their top interest could be Aaron Rodgers, right? Or it was like there could be interested in Aaron Rodgers, and then before that, you saw the Florio story where he kind of tied them together. That was like his weird combine interest story. Anyways, now it's kind of a big mystery, right? But I just think it's funny how quickly things turned from, oh man, like haha, Giants quarterback Aaron Rodgers to, oh no, Aaron Rodgers, yeah, like we're fine with him. I know for a while there, a lot of people across the league thought that the Minnesota thing was very real. Then obviously that died quickly. That could technically still be in play, although I don't necessarily buy it. Right now, it just feels like Pittsburgh, right? But you just keep seeing these leaks. I mean, these leaks that keep coming out, where it's like Giants are still interested, and they're selling him on Malik Neighbors. Not that they're leaking any of this stuff to me, but it's kind of interesting to see how the Giants have kind of just stayed alive in all this and all this pandemonium. I heard another person say that heck, maybe Rodgers would kind of wait till after the draft, just to see exactly what his options were. And I mean, again, like I don't see why, unless they think Aaron Rodgers is just leagues ahead of Russell Wilson at this point, why they would wait around that long for him. If I don't think it's worth the wait.
All right, before we get back to the interview, we got to talk about DraftKings. Hoops fans, the most exciting month in college basketball is here, with the underdogs ready to fight their way to the top and established teams defending their titles. This is the time to lock in your picks with our partners at DraftKings right now. All new customers who bet just $5, you're going to get $200 in bonus bets instantly when you use our code WORLD. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app right now. New customers use code WORLD. Bet $5 on a wager. Get $200 in bonus bets instantly. That's promo code WORLD only at the DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours. You will be glad you did.
Well, and it's not even just like, oh, because it's like, well, what is the difference between signing Aaron Rodgers on the second day of free agency and the 27th? He's still the same guy. Well, that's the red flag to me is when I was kind of on the Rodgers train pre-free agency. I'm like, well, there certainly has learned some, has some humility from the Jets situation, right? Like, that obviously went terribly well. Obviously, Rodgers isn't going to be a totally new person, but maybe there'll be some humility going into the next situation where it's like, you know what, I just want to pick a team and go and play football. You wanted it to be the Vikings. Okay, they're not in. All right, let's sign right thereafter. And it just seems like this is another kind of Aaron Rodgers game. And I don't know why the Giants would be so willing on the hot seat to tie their wagon to that.
Am I crazy to think why he wouldn't just side with Pittsburgh today? I mean, unless
or wherever.
Like, yeah, exactly.
I could even make the argument that the Giants are actually a better offense for him, but Pittsburgh gives him more stability. He probably won't lose. He won't lose the starting job.
Yeah.
They won't give him Mike Tomlin benched a winning quarterback in Justin Fields for Russell Wilson, who was not very popular at all. Like he will play the guy that he thinks is the best. Basically, no matter what, even if that's Mason Rudolph, in a playoff game over the quarterback they drafted in the first round. But wherever he wants to go, you would think he would just do it. Unless he's just, hey, it's either retire or Minnesota, which in that case, it'd be nice if that was communicated to the teams that are sitting around waiting for you.
It sure would be, man. I mean, I almost feel held hostage by Aaron Rodgers for the past. I know nobody cares about it. Like, oh, he's not going to rush his decision based on what these sports writers are thinking, and when they're posting their Rodgers signs with X team story that they've had pre-written since the beginning of the month. But come on, man, let's just get it done, man. I mean, I think this is definitely. It's kind of interesting to see how some of these other things, like we all thought, the beginning of the free agency was like, all right, Daniel Jones is going to be the domino. Now it's like, all right, Aaron Rodgers definitely seems like, I don't even know if he's going to be the domino though, because it's like Winston signed. I thought he was kind of going to be a part of this, where it's like, maybe he would be the third person that finds a chair or something like that. But no, he kind of kicked it all off. And I think, kind of going back to your what point you made, like with the flexibility that Winston gives them, especially on that contract, like that, it's backup quarterback money. Jameis Winston is probably going to be the backup, right? But I also think the dynamic with him makes it interesting, because I know you and Justin have certainly talked about this, but it's he knows that he's not going to be a 17-game starter. He knows he's going to be the bridge. He knew that back in New Orleans when he signed there all those years ago. He was willing to be kind of the backup there. So Jameis is, I don't even know, but Rodgers is definitely, you would think that Rodgers would definitely be, have some dramatics to him, but Wilson right now, I think that he would, there's already interest between him and the Giants from going back to last offseason. If Shane thinks that he's better than these rookie quarterbacks, if Shane thinks that he can win him, I don't even know, like 7 games, 8 games or something like that, or even close to that. If he thinks he can get, if he could sell Mara on, all right, fine. I got you, Wilson. Here's what he could do. We also got you Abdul Carter, Travis Hunter. Now, here's what we could do when we add Drew Aller to the mix, or Nico from Tennessee. I'm blanking on his last name, how to pronounce it. But yeah, I mean, it's these are the kinds of things that, again, you have to think about whenever you bring hot seat GMs back. This is an imperfect plan, but he had to give him some sort of plan. I would love to get some truths here to figure out what that was.
Yeah, there's some points that I end every offseason that it's like, yeah, I'm going to end up repeating this a million times. It's just like, this is the avoidable mess of just starting afresh with a new GM, where it's not like if they draft a quarterback in the second or third round, Ryan, it's going to be hard to convince me that this isn't just another Davis Webb. Like, hey, we got some, right? Like we didn't not draft a QB again. We'll see what happens. But moving off of the quarterback situation, because I feel like that's all we've talked about recently. What do you think of their free agent strategy overall, of kind of going in on defense and then basically saying we feel like we're a quarterback away on offense? Obviously, we got to find that mythical quarterback who is really good. But like, what do you think of that free agent strategy?
So I think it's like how should I say this? It's like the great value version of the old Tom Brady Belichick debate. You know how when Brady left the Patriots, the question was, all right, who deserves more credit? Well, the Giants last year, they were kind of pumping out like, oh yeah, Daniel Jones was the reason that the offense was sputtering. Well, now we're kind of going to find out, and I'm not going to sit here and say Daniel Jones was perfect. Not by no means, no. But they're really going all in with okay, we think our offensive guys, we think they're talented enough that we think they're a quarterback away. Are they a quarterback away? We're going to find out, obviously. But I mean, again, I kind of find that the fact that they did nothing else on offense so mind-boggling, to almost the point of fascination. I like Tevin Jenkins. I think they should have probably threw something at him to try to get him. And that's not just because I went to Oklahoma State. I think he's, kind of one of those change of scenery might do him well kind of thing.
Did you watch him at Oklahoma State?
Oh, yeah. I was classmates with him.
Dude, he's fucking strong as shit.
Yeah.
Dude. The way his hand grip was like something I've never seen in my life before watching his film.
No, he was awesome. Yeah, I covered him. Obviously, that's off the table, and it was kind of a weird deal signing with the Browns anyway. But I then pivoted to, all right, maybe they swing for a Shaq Mason or Giants legend Will Hernandez, right? Then after they signed Van Roten, I was like, or re-signed Van Roten, I was like, all right, I guess that because this is I would say maybe a deeper interior offensive line draft. That's what people told me at the combine, at least. I'm really diving into the draft stuff now, but people smarter than I am draft wise said that interior offensive lineman wise that they like it a lot more. I think that they're just kind of going three layers of competition there at right guard, right? They're going to go the vet in Van Roten. They're going to go Evan Neal, reportedly per Jordan Renan. They're going to move him over to right guard. They're going to have him compete there, and then they're going to have one of the rookies compete there. I think some of the guys I've mocked them getting is Tate Ratledge from Georgia. I think Donovan Jackson too would be interesting, just because he plays mostly tackle, but I think a lot of people see him as a guard at the pro level. Yeah, these are just some of the things I thought they would, do more offensively. I guess the right guard thing though, that kind of seems to be the plan there. Defensively, I liked it. I thought Javon Holland. I don't know how you can complain other than the Xavier McKinney thing, which is a little weird. Like the fact that they paid him, and then Paulson Adebo. I know I talked to a couple. I guess we could call them team sources that were. I know they signed him, but they were really fired up about what they can do, how the dynamic that he adds to the defense there. They were really jazzed up about his pre-injury film in New Orleans. Chauncey Golston, I think, could also be just kind of one of the more under the radar good signings of free agency, honestly.
Right. And like you said, like people focus like, oh, they didn't add on offense. And the whole quarterback away statement was quarterback away is always so loaded because like, well, tell me what team's not a quarterback away. Tell me who's the quarterback though. Are we talking about top 5 QB, top 10 quarterback, top like what quarterback are we a quarterback away from, and what are we away from? Just competing or winning Super Bowls? Because I think offensively, like the wide receiver group, now they brought Slayton back. That's a very fine wide receiver group.
Yeah.
Offensive line, if no one gets injured, that's a passable group. And I do like bringing back Van Roten. Because one of the mistakes they made after their playoff year, I think, was letting John Feliciano and Nick Gates basically not offering them anything more than the minimum, and then going into the draft without a center on the roster. So at least you have Van Roten on the roster, so you don't feel pigeonholed into drafting a guard in the second round or ever. Even though I would like them to draft a guard somewhat early. Defensively, it's still kind of where my worry though is because Paulson Adebo, like you said, I really like his film. He's also someone who gives up yards and gets penalties. Javon Holland, someone who hasn't played like a top 5 safety over the last couple of years, even though he's been a good safety. And the run defense, I still think is a huge issue. So I think they were smart, and they didn't have this Hail Mary free agency. But again, I think that's why they're still kind of far away from winning games too.
I'm almost fascinated at the idea of if they do decide, if this comes into fruition and they get another vet quarterback and they decide, all right, we're not going and taking a quarterback in the first round. I'm so curious what they might do with that number 3 pick. Could they trade down a little bit? I don't know. It makes me wonder just the kind of other position needs they could fill. And I think the run defense point, it really stands out to me. Like for starters, I mean, you could what if you go and get an Abdul Carter? That would be unbelievable, right? You really build through that front seven, which would be a really smart thing to do. And then I think Mason Graham is also someone that if that really, I know a couple Giants defensive guys that I spoke to at the combine that they were like, they also like kind of loved Mason Graham. I mean, how can you not? I'm telling you, players that every team loves, but at the same time, putting him next to Dex would just be like okay, there you go. That should probably that would help with your run defense, right? And that would kind of help you long term. So I think the possibilities that happen after we find out this quarterback thing, which I know it all goes back to, are almost endless because it's like, all right, can we still what will Shane do to address some of these other needs, right? And I think the possibilities are endless.
Yeah, if they don't go quarterback in the first round, and if I were to overread what they did and didn't do in free agency, I'd be like, okay, defensive tackle's coming early, and maybe even often, right? Like, I know they signed the Roy Robertson guy. I actually think Jeremiah Ledbetter's better than him. Obviously, they don't by the money they spent. But if there was any position that they kind of left, like, we'll hit this in the draft, it is defensive tackle, whether that's at pick 3 or pick 34. We'll kind of see what they do. I think I would like Abdul Carter just because, his film is fucking insane. And, I'm not the highest on the Brian Burns, Kayvon Thibodeau duo, even though I want them both around. So we'll see with that. What is like, let me get, because we won't talk with you on this show before the draft. Prediction right now on who they take in the first round. Doesn't even have to be at pick three. Like what would your prediction be?
Gosh, right now, if you add today, March 24th, I think that Ryan of today thinks they're going to take Travis Hunter at 3, and I think they're going to try to trade back in to take Jackson Dart. I could be dead wrong, and I'm fully aware of that. But I know based on just some of the stuff that's been coming out recently, and almost connecting the dots to some of the reporting I did at the combine, it's starting to make sense. And again, it's the tea leaves of the stuff that we've been preaching the whole time. You don't go and throw $100 million at Matt Stafford and draft picks, draft capital when you're a bad team to take a quarterback, like to get
Nope.
another quarterback if you want to take a quarterback. If they were in love with Shador or Cam Ward, which I'm sure they are, and Cam Ward at least, then okay, you try throw everything to go get Cam Ward, right? Or try to jump the Browns, which would probably be a cheaper trade to go get Shador or whatever. You let him fall to you or whatever. They're not doing that. I don't feel any sense of urgency here. So my gut feeling right now again is they try to take a Travis Hunter, and then they'll try to trade back in to get Jackson Dart. And if that fails, I think Tyler Shuck is another one that you gotta kind of look at as being a guy that could end up being a giant. I mean, I don't know what you feel about Jalen Milroe though. I mean, that's another guy that could certainly fall in their laps.
Talented. No, I will be doing our
Fast.
QB episode. Yeah, very fast. We'll see. Ryan, I look forward to the day, and I hope that day comes soon where the Giants just have their quarterback and it's not speculation. So that's going to be my question to you. How's it been? Like you said, you didn't get training camp. You got thrown right in week one. How's been your first, how many, what are we, 7, 8 months on the job?
Yes. So again, I used the term baptism by fire earlier. That's how it felt. From week one, I remember the rush down to the locker room after the Vikings blowout. It was like nothing I ever experienced. You're a Devils fan. I covered the Devils before.
I'm going to ask some Devils questions too at the end.
Amazing. Okay, good. It's unlike anything I'd experienced because with the Devils, it was like my first season covering them. It was the house money Devils, right? It was like they were good, and it was expectations, throw them out because they exceeded them like crazy. Next season, it was a disappointment, but it was not this Giants level disappointment. Covering a rebuilding team has been tough. I've learned a lot of lessons. I've learned to write my stories so much quicker than I was, during hockey, with the exception being that Seahawks game. But at the same time, it's like, you gotta kind of craft things a little differently. When emotions are high in a good way, it's like, all right, we'll give you every story under the sun. When emotions are high, the bad way, you have to go carve and make things interesting in a different way, which is why the airplane stories really helped at the end of the season. I'll be honest with you. That was a good way to carve myself out. And that was, kind of a lot of fun. I won't lie.
I think one of the biggest misconceptions about like covering a team is like it's just so much easier when they're good because people just want to hear about their good team, and they're like, oh, you're saying negative stuff about this for clicks. If they're bad, you have the possibility to have like one big story or video or whatever. But when they're good, like here's an example. My video on like why I thought the Giants should fire Joe Shane obviously made some waves from the building and stuff. Very highly viewed. Sure. But if they're good, guess what? The film review, the O-line report, the mailbag pod, the preview, those are all hitting like crazy,
Yeah.
where it's like, it's not just like one thing and that's it. But I'm excited for you to get your first training camp covering. I feel like that's the best time to just cover the New York Giants right now because there's no result to sparse through. You're kind of looking at what you're having, and there's just like different ways to give, to cover the team.
I've never covered the Giants when they've had hope. That's the only way I could say it. Because that Vikings game, they lost it quickly. Yeah, no, I'm fired up for that too because I think that like you said, we get the better stories from that way. And not just that, it's like the van's gonna be there, baby. The van is gonna be there. Am I right?
We'll see if the
All right.
van's under maintenance or not. But if they get a quarterback, that'll be fun. Even though like I've done a Shador Sanders video, he's not someone I would draft. Even if they draft him, like it will be fun to go like, all right,
Yeah.
now I get to watch each game individually, get to do this. Like it's fun to talk about a new QB, and then training camp is if you have a new QB in training camp. I mean, I remember stories being written on like what the fans were yelling at Daniel Jones at 2019 in training camp. So it's fun. Let me ask you this because I'm a casual Devils fan, so I'm not in on them. Are we what's going on with them? Like are we, what should I expect for as I'm Googling NHL standings right now just to see we're in the playoffs, right?
Yes, but I would go Google the drama that just happened with their coach and defenseman Jonathan Kovacevic, man. So what happened was after the game the other day, a bad loss. Um, actually, our Devils reporter Gabe Trevino asked head coach Sheldon Keefe. He asked him, "Okay, in the post game locker room, Jonathan Kovacevic said that we need to lock in and play playoff hockey." He was probably just getting a quote for his story. Blah 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 blah. Sheldon Keefe responds with, Kovacevic needs to play better. And so it is a great kind of dramatic story right now. Maybe not so great for Devils fans. Jack Hughes is injured. He's out for the season. Dougie Hamilton, I think, is out for the season too.
Oh, see, that's where I'm a casual. That I didn't know Jack Hughes is out of the season.
Yeah.
I know Jack Hughes is great. But I didn't know he's out the season. Nico Hischier is my favorite player. I remember when he got drafted first.
Nico Hischier is my favorite player to cover. He's a good dude. He's a good dude. He's their captain for a reason. Yeah, man. No, Jack Hughes is done for the season. And this is looking like it's almost entering like I'm getting kind of FOMO right here because like I don't know if this is the GM. Are they going to go through a GM change at the end of the offseason? Am I gonna hop off this beat to go help on that one? I don't know. Like I might have to. I might the the wheels are turning to me, man. I love that stuff.
Yeah, who would have thought, the Giants keep their GM and the Devils might make the playoffs and move off of theirs. I just know that they had that stretch where it's just they kept on winning the draft lottery or getting high in it, and it's just like this. I was at the year I pay attention to the playoffs, right? That's just what I'm not going to sit and pretend I'm like this diehard Devils fan. But I do actually get locked in the playoffs. I was at the 2018 game one against the Lightning.
Ah,
And it's not a joke when people say like there's nothing like playoff hockey. Like there's nothing like the atmosphere of being in a playoff hockey game. And that was a pretty fun atmosphere. But do you got anything stories or anything you got coming down the pike that you want to share? Obviously, people can go find all your stuff on NJ.com. And then you could tell where people to find you on Twitter and stuff.
yeah. I mean, I would just say look out for just some just long form feature stuff on some of these guys that we talked long about today. I mean, I think some of these quarterbacks are fascinating to get to know before and because, like you said, like the speculation almost is fun with that. So look for stuff on Ward, look for stuff on Sanders. Obviously, me and my beat partner Daryl, who I think is the most underrated Giants beat reporter. We both cranked something out on Shedeur Sanders a while ago that I think I have pinned right now. If not, I will. And down the pipe, I mean, we got the owners meeting next week, baby. I'm going to be sipping, cigars, sipping some tropical beverages down
Is
there.
that in Orlando still?
West Palm?
Oh, West Palm. Okay, I'm up in Central. I'm an hour east of Orlando. Maybe I'll come crash the owners meeting.
I'm crash, man.
What's the situation? Actually, I guess that'll be your first year there. How do you get credentialed there? Or you just show up?
Yeah, I think it's a credential situation because I think there's it's like I think all these billionaires are going to be in one location. So I think it's actually like a super credential situation.
Yeah, I can't like go on Expedia and get a room there for $220. I'm assuming.
Yeah,
It's probably not the case.
Oh, I don't know. Actually, mine was pretty cheap. Mine was pretty cheap.
At the hotel, they do it all at.
No, I'm at a hotel near the beach. I think everyone's kind of like sparsely around.
Okay, cool. All right, Ryan, appreciate you, man. It's good to finally get you on the show. Obviously, we'll have you on post draft and training camp and all that good stuff. Appreciate your coverage, man, and we'll talk soon.
Bobby, thanks, man.
All right, thank you again to Ryan Novozinsky of NJ.com. Again, go give him a follow. We'll put his socials and the stuff. So appreciate you guys. We'll be back on Friday. Not sure what the episode will be, but it will be. It will be. Very much appreciate you guys, right? I really want to enforce that. I appreciate the listeners, and everything they've done for me, and I hope to keep doing more for you guys. Keep producing good Giants content for you guys. We are one nation, baby. So we'll see you when we see you. You never know when you'll see you. Tomorrow is not promised. Until then, let's go Big Blue.